The dead of night. Jack picked up the damp cloth to sop up his father's clammy forehead. A bowl of homemade clam chowder sat on the bedside table, hardly touched. The 83-year-old stared blankly up at the ceiling. His mind was getting further and further away. His hands and limbs were cold as the Oregon woodlands, but the body wasn't modeling yet. The wind howled maniacally outside. A fresh frost had started that morning. On the way to work, Jack couldn't help but be mesmerized by the glistening ice show performed by the saggy rows of western hemlocks, ponderosa pines, and big-leaf maples. There were still remnants of snow from a blizzard 8 weeks prior, but then the town of Chardell had been blessed with an 11-day heat wave. Most of the snow was history, but like a child starving for attention, Father Winter needed to remind everyone that he was still around. "I can see your mother," his father mumbled, his voice coming out dry. His lips were as cracked as glass. His eyes had sunk further into their sockets. His face was now no more than a mask that was too tight of a fit. "I bet you can," Jack answered. He glanced at the clam chowder. It was nothing more than a putty-like white, off-white, lukewarm blob, rather than a steaming, thick and creamy hunger satisfaction. It was his father's preferred meal, and his mother made sure he knew how to make it when she was gone. It had been 7 years now, and Jack had only made it once. "I will join her soon. Maybe not as soon as you know." His body jerked as he coughed up phlegm. You can't dodge fate, son. Our lives are a book, and each one is written in permanent ink." Jack huffed. "Our fate is made up by choices. It was your choice to go into that shed. If you hadn't, you wouldn't be in this hospital bed dying." Another cough. "Your brother, he needed help. He wanted you to clean out his shed while he went to Hawaii." The eyes lolled listlessly in the sockets. At this stage of the disease, Jack couldn't tell if his father was lost to delirium or not. Jack felt foolish anyway. There was no sense in arguing with the dying man. As his father would put it, his fate was sealed. All that was left to do was to wait and let the virus complete its cycle. "Rodents carry hantavirus, Dad," Jack said, lowering his tone. "It's a fatal disease. Oh well, you live and you learn." Jack looked out into the windy night air. The wind's lament was so humanistic he could picture someone lying out there, half frozen, wailing for someone to save them. "Watch out for the Arabic tribe," his father said suddenly. Jack's face scrunched in confusion. "Why are you bringing that up?" The head fell to the side. Now those sunken eyes were staring straight at Jack. "They are ruthless people, cannibals, but they like to torture their victims before eating them. It's like a cat playing with a mouse. Humiliation before extermination." Out of all the thoughts that could have been going through his dying father's head, the Arabic tribe would have been the last thing he guessed. The tribe was supposed to have been mythical, an indigenous people who had settled in Carrigan, Oregon 3,000 years ago and eliminated by war. It was a story that his mother would lie to him, mostly when he was bad. The Arabic tribe wasn't like normal tribes. Oregon was home to many indigenous tribes such as the Kalapuya, Modoc, and Wasco. Unlike these tribes, however, the Arabics were tall and hairy, with small glowing red eyes and large jagged teeth. They stalked their prey like wolves, planning out each attack with such precision that it made them magnificent hunters. What the other tribes feared the most was the Arabics' winter advantage. Their bodies seemed immune to hypothermia, so they could wait patiently for hours, blending in with the snow and ice. Whenever Jack's mother would mention this, he always pictured a massive family of abominable snowmen. As the legend went, not all of the Arabic tribe went extinct. Some were still out there on the Oregon woodlands, and his mother would add the sugar coating that if the kids went bad, the tribe would find them and eat them. "What a bunch of shit," Jack exclaimed out loud. "They are out there," his father croaked out. "Please, son, don't do anything stupid." "They are a legend, Dad," he said. "There have been no reports of such a tribe. Nothing has ever been excavated. There are no descendants of such a people, and there certainly have not been any mysterious disappearances linked to said tribe." He checked his watch. It was well past the time he had expected himself to be there. He took the bowl of chowder and dumped it into the trash. "Could you," his father was trying to ask, "could you check on my dog?" His father owned a St. Bernard named Sergeant Stanley. It was the dumbest name he had ever heard. Gee, Dad, I don't know. I have a couple of things to do, and..." There was a knock on the door. It was the nurse with the evening pills. Jack took it as a sign to skedaddle. Once the morphine kicked in, it was lights out. An icy blast hit Jack's face the moment he stepped outside. Every winter he cursed himself for not investing in an electric starter. The car would have been toasty by now. Another howling. It sounded more humanistic out there. During the ride, he couldn't help but take glances at the frosty winter woodlands. He imagined the Arabic tribe lying in wait, their red eyes piercing through the frozen darkness, a family of frost-covered half-breeds, part human, part animal. Damn it, his father had infiltrated his head. Atone your sins for the eyes of the beast, for you might be their next feast. Shut up, Mom, he shouted. But why was he shouting? Why did he care if his mother's old saying was resurfacing? The Arabic tribe was an urban legend meant to scare children. Yet, he still couldn't shake the thought that if his car broke down, he would be at the mercy of the woodlands. Jack got the call a few days later at work. He was already having a real shitty day. The Corrigan Industrial Sawmill was having an epidemic of mechanical malfunctions. A few cylinder belts needed oiling, 2 of the forklifts took a shit, the head Sawyer's main computer was computing inaccurate lugging in dimensions, and the rotator debarker decided it was better off asleep. On top of that, he had to listen to a fellow worker's constant bitching. It's murder day, the worker went on. I know that, Grady, Jack snapped. He was balls deep in the engine of the forklift. Shouldn't you be assisting instead of stating the obvious? Not until the main track gets fixed, he said. Grady had been Jack's coal mechanic for the last 4 years. He always had that ominous look, like he could sense that something was about to happen, and that something was never good. It annoyed Jack, because nothing optimistic could pass through the chew that he stuffed between his lips. His phone buzzed. It was an unknown number, but it was the state's area code. That could only mean one thing to Jack. I'm sorry, the voice said on the other line. Your father passed quietly in the night. Bad news bears, Grady commented. That's what the doctors always are. They are always rooting for the bleak outcome. That's the pot calling the kettle black, Jack thought. The body had been moved to the city mortuary that morning. Jack was second-guessing going to see him. The city morgue was all the way on the other side of the city. With him being the only living relative close by, the arrangements were on his shoulders. Maybe he should go. It was his father, after all. Then again, his father wasn't going anywhere. Did it have to be that evening? Did he have to go straight there after work? Atone your sins for the eyes of the beast, for you might be their next feast. Grady, Jack said, checking the oil stick. Have you heard of the Arabic tribe legends? Barely, Grady answered. My folks never believed in them. What about you? He looked sheepish. Maybe I had as a kid. Of course it's all just hogwash. Okay, fellas. Dean Kirshnick, the boss, appeared from behind a stack of cedar logs. Looks like the work is running slow this afternoon. I have no choice but to mandate you guys. You mean we have to work late? Grady asked, his voice coming out in a whine. Dean nodded. These machines need to operate, and it looks like it might take a day or so, unless we work into the night. The part for the chippers will have to be shipped, Jack informed him. Dean shrugged. He pulled out his cigarettes pack and started lighting one up. We'll make do without it, I suppose. As for the rest, you don't go home until the mill's somewhat operational. Jack wanted to punch him. Dean wasn't the worst guy, but he wasn't very compromising either. He understood the logic, but working till God knew when wasn't exactly on his list of things to do. Then a light bulb went off in his head. He could use his father as, looks like it's us again, Grady said, slapping Jack right out of his thoughts. My father just passed, he told him. I need to be with him. Why? Grady asked. He's dead. He won't know if you're there or not. You really are a sentimental guy, Grady, Jack said, trying to sound disgusted. Fuck it. He would stay overnight, collect the overtime pay for his father's funeral, and then take a week off. What's one night gonna hurt? By closing time, only a third of the shipments went out. The Corrigan Industrial Sawmill could ship 400 logs per day, which they prided themselves on. The setback must have been a real kick in the pride groin. The sawmill was eerie at night. It wasn't Jack's first round of this night shift, but they were so few and far between that each presence was more eerie than the last. Jack spit his chew on the ground and shambled over to the rotary debarker. He got a whiff of maple and oak, as the blades were still caked with shavings. Grady followed. He was going to inspect the blades, making sure nothing was askew. I hate the night shift, he muttered as Jack messed with the computer system. There could be maniacs out there. You know the ones that watch from the windows and slit your throat from behind? You watch too many freaking crime shows, Jack said. There was the Lorna Smith murder, Grady went on. Did you hear about that one? She had her throat slit by her ex who was posing as someone else over the internet. It was on the British news. Well, I'm not British, Jack shot back, so I guess I missed that one. The code was a pain. It was another language altogether. 5 times that year he had to restart the system, punching in numbers, waiting for screens to load, and backtracking multiple times. He was known to spend 2 hours on the damn thing. Tracking, speed tracker, rotary speed. There was a sudden whirling sound. It was normal, but he wasn't expecting it so soon. What followed next was a sound that he never heard, at least not in person. The sound of a man's agonizing scream. Ah, help! Jack, shut it off! Jack didn't shut it off at first. He had to glance over the side to see Grady pressed up against the machine. Blood had splattered the dullish yellow cylinders. Grady's body jerked viciously. Jack frantically hovered his fingers over the screen. He was trying to find the abort feature or the main system shut down. At one point he froze the system, and in the heat of the moment ran toward Grady. He grabbed his vibrating body and pulled him away from the machine. His screams echoed in his ears. "Oh, God! Please, oh, God! Oh, God!" His left hand was gone. Blood soaked his shirt. Spurts of it jumped from his mouth. Grady's eyes grew dimmer and dimmer. "Stay with me, Grady," Jack ordered. He reached into his pocket to dial 911. Before he could hit the call button, he saw Grady's eyes start to fade, and then the life was out. Jack slowly got to his feet. He replaced the phone into his pocket. It was surreal. Somehow there was another dead body in his life. No, this couldn't be happening to him. There was no way his luck could have gone this way. He ran out of the sawmill, got into his car, and tried to start it. He would call the police later. Right then, he needed to get away. Perhaps he would start a new life somewhere, away from the woods he grew up around. It wouldn't tune over. Come on, damn it! The car wouldn't go. He slammed his hands on the dashboard. Okay, whatever. He would just run to his house. It wasn't incredibly far. If he kept up the pace, he was golden. He would have his car towed, and when it was fixed, start his new life. Atone your sins for the eyes of the beast, for you might be their next feast. The wind had completely died. At least that was in his favor. The weather was still biting. Did he hear that it was 25 degrees? Maybe 30? Possibly above freezing? He thought he saw movement in the distance. This caused him to giggle. There were lots of movies with stragglers being ambushed by wolves. The Grey, Out Came the Wolves. Even Beauty and the Beast had poor, sweet Belle fighting off the pack of them. Did he read somewhere that wolves might hunt for sport? He thought he was half a mile from the mill now. He could feel his chest tightening and fingertips numbing. It was known that the more energy you used, the warmer you stayed. It would have been nice to have a few energy bars to snack on. He picked up his pace. Now he thought he heard something. This caused him to slow down. Don't do that. You're only easy prey. Keep the pace up. There was more movement, or so went the illusion. Now he was seeing eyes, red eyes, and he scorned himself for it. Don't be foolish. You're letting your parents get to you. There are no cannibals in the area. The more logical sense is getting eaten alive by wolves. That's it. Coming to grips with reality wasn't calming his rising tension. He would power walk further, then slow down, power walk, slow down, power walk, and repeat the process until he actually heard the voices. As expected from an ancient tribe, they were not the voices of the modern world. Low growls and wails that escalated into high-pitched shrieks that told Jack either he had stirred up a sacred ground or they were done with stalking and ready for an attack. Of course, the shrieks then were accompanied by the eyes. It seemed like there were dozens of red eyes popping up everywhere. This made him stop, escalating the voice that kept telling him to go while he still had the chance. Atone your sins for the eyes of the beast, for you might be their next feast. A figure stepped out. It appeared to be male, bald-headed. He was tall, maybe 7'8". His skin was a shiny lavender, covered in hair that was caked with frost. There were no weapons, no spears or knives, not even a shield. The lips were parted in a hungry grin, baring teeth that were as long and sharp as a vulture's talons. These weren't the indigenous people his mother had described. This wasn't the tribe as foretold in the legends. This was a new kind of tribe, the ones who not only loved torture, but indulged in it, made it a lifestyle. Please don't. I didn't mean to run from him. I was just scared, that's all. His voice was that above a whisper. Part of it was the cold, but a large part was fear. He might as well not have said anything. Atone for your sins, for the eyes of the beast, for you might be their next feast. The cannibal pounced on him, and the others soon joined. His screams were drowned out by the wails of the surreptitious tribe. The Dead of Night was written by Matthew Meyer.